The 8 men's College World Series teams are official now, and we're going to preview each bracket as well as give our little predictions. Starting with one side with number 2 overall seed Florida, facing off against 7 overall seed Virginia, and then also in that bracket is TCU versus Oral Roberts for all those first games. So looks like we got two kind of ranked teams in the top, and then TCU, Oral Roberts. TCU extremely hot. Oral Roberts is a team that can really just outlast teams, especially what we saw this past weekend against Oregon. They just kind of had the arms to outlast a team that was really struggling pitching-wise, and they're just a completely solid ball club all around. Won't make those mistakes. Really solid infield, especially their shortstop defensively. He always seems to just have that vacuum to his glove there. And TCU, a team that some are saying is this year's Oklahoma, coming out of the same conference there, obviously. And has just been playing overall really solid ball recently. And they're not really a power team, but really loves getting aggressive on the base path there. And then, Florida, obviously the team that is favored coming out of this side of the College World Series to make it to the final, but facing a really tough Virginia team that has really gotten going recently and had to come back against Duke to win their Super Regional.
Yeah, of the non-seeded teams, TCU, like you said, is extremely hot right now. Just extremely dangerous, and facing off against Oral Roberts to start it off, that'll be an interesting matchup. But up top, I think where everyone has their eyes is this Florida-Virginia matchup. Florida's been really impressive through the postseason so far, especially their pitching staff. They've played 7 games now through regionals and super regionals, and they've given up a total of 12 runs. I mean, when you average giving up 1.5 runs per game, you're going to win a lot of games. And if they keep that up, it's hard to see them falling here. But this Virginia team is extremely hot as well. Dropped that game 1 to Duke in supers, and then just absolutely dominated the next 2, winning by 10 runs in each game. And, they say Omaha, you get here, it's a doubles ballpark, not a lot of home runs necessarily. And this Virginia team leads the country in doubles. Something in my gut tells me that Virginia takes this side of the bracket, but it's really hard to pick against Florida. It's easy to go chalk 1 seed, 2 seed in these 2 sides of the brackets, but for whatever reason, my gut's going with Virginia, and so I'm going to stick with that.
Yeah, for me, I think TCU has a really good chance of making it out. I think that Virginia-Florida matchup is extremely enticing in that first game there, with Virginia's offense being super hot recently and Florida's pitching just completely dominating their opposition. So there's that kind of head-to-head there. But I think TCU kind of got the luck of the draw facing Oral Roberts, even though Oral Roberts has been really solid and like the fake 4 seed of this tournament. I think TCU has a really good chance of taking that first game and might be a little bit more fresh for that next game. And yeah, they've looked really, really good recently. So I might be taking TCU for this side of the bracket. And on the other side of the bracket, we have number 1 overall seed Wake Forest facing number 8 overall seed Stanford, as well as 5 overall seed LSU facing unseeded Tennessee. Now, all of these teams were preseason like top 5, top 6 teams, so this side is definitely a lot more loaded than the other side, at least looking at talent standpoint here. But this Wake Forest team, I think, definitely has an edge over Stanford game 1. They've just been the most complete team from start to finish this season. Just really, really solid pitching staff, probably the best in the nation. And then just an offense that just is unrelenting and really helps out the pitching staff when you can get up by 15 runs. Pitching staff doesn't really have to do as well, just needs to throw some strikes and get the game over with. But yeah, Stanford has struggled a little bit in regionals and super regionals, similar to like what we saw last year. It just seems like they just get the job done in the end by getting some really gutsy performances, maybe some luck here or there, but somehow always seems to get it done. So you never know. Could be able to make up some upsets there, but it's really hard to look past Wake Forest to win this side of the bracket. But with that, also have LSU and Tennessee, both these teams extremely talented. Maybe both of them have higher top-level talent than even Wake Forest, with some of these names on this list just all over the place on the draft board. But yeah, LSU Tennessee going to be an absolute thriller of a game, seeing that SEC rivalry. Really tough one to choose. maybe going to go with LSU here just because they got Skeens on their side, but you never know what you're going to get out of this Tennessee pitching staff. They have the talent there. It's just really tough to look past Skeens in this instance.
Yeah, I think this side of the bracket is just a lot of fun. Like you said, just top five, at least top 10 teams in the country as the season started. A lot of them in the top five, and the talent on this side is just unreal. It's pretty easy to envision any of these teams coming out of this side just from a talent standpoint. I mean, even Stanford, you have a tough round one matchup against Wake here, but if they're able to get past that or just continue to make these loser bracket runs like they do, consistently in the postseason. There's just so many people that can come out of this side. But like you said, Wake, obviously the heavy favorites here. The pitching staff is just unreal, and they have the offense to go with it as well. And then this bottom matchup, SEC matchup, you expect a sellout crowd for this one. It's going to be high energy, a lot of fun, and Tennessee kind of has that swag right now like they did last season. It's just a gut tells me they potentially make it through because we've said it before. It's the season after the season you're supposed to win it that you actually do. So the fans will hate it if they do it, but it seems like they might. But I will stick with Wake. It's the easy pick. They've just been the most complete team this year. And yeah, it's really hard to see them losing twice in this side.
Yeah, I had Wake Forest winning the whole thing at the start of the postseason, and I'm probably just going to follow it up there with that as well, beating all these teams on this side of the bracket, as well as beating TCU, the team that I picked from the other side, to win the whole thing there. I just think they're such a complete team, but you never know what happens in the postseason. They got that number one seed curse that everybody's talking about, but it's only a curse until it's broken, which could be this year, but you never know. LSU, Tennessee, Stanford, all teams that could get that win over them.